Hey, what's going on? Long time no tutorialize? I don't know, that's a bad joke. Anyway, I'm back. It's been a while, and I'm going to teach you how to do a very easy, quick thing, kind of get back in the run of things, and then hopefully we can get some more tutorials out here soon. So today I'm going to teach you how to do this. Fancy. Essentially, it's just the writing effect when you see in movies and TV shows where you have a big aerial and it says somewhere in wherever something fancy, and it looks like a computer wrote it on. So I'm going to teach you how to do that. I'll let you see that one more time so you see what we're making. And let's get to it. Delete. Okay, so let's create a composition and call it text comp. All right, so first we're going to create our text, obviously. So select your text tool or Command T and click anywhere on the screen and then just type. You can make it all caps, initial caps, whatever you want. I'm going to do all caps somewhere in New Mexico. The font I chose is Helvetica, and I made it bold just to make it stand out. A typical font you'd want to use with this is Bank Gothic, which is it's a good computer style font where every letter is the same width and height. And I'll explain why that's better later. But yeah, this works fine too. So you can just close out of the layer and then bring up your title safe. Again, that's apostrophe. It's also down here if you want, but apostrophe will bring it up. And we can just position this down in the bottom left of the title safe. That looks nice and fancy. And look at that animation. It is just going. Beautiful. So first what we want to do is lower this little arrow down on the left here. And this is a new thing I haven't shown you guys yet, I believe. I don't know. It's been a while. I have 2 kids. Forgive me. Over here you have animate. Whenever you create a text file, you can animate specific things within it. We're going to do opacity, but you see there's all these abilities. And if you enable 3D, then you can animate them within 3D space as well. That's craziness that we won't get to for a long while. So select opacity. And you'll see down here we have range selector 1. It's already selected, so just lower that little arrow and then lower this little arrow for advanced as well. And this is your whole area right here for animating. So make sure you're on frame 0, and what we're going to do is we're going to take opacity all the way down to 0. And we're going to take smoothness down to 0. The reason we're doing this is if it's at 100%, when we animate for the characters to start revealing themselves, they're going to fade in instead of pop in like when you type them. And I can show you how that looks later after we finish this. So take smoothness down to 0. And then you want to change based on from characters to characters excluding spaces. And this is just so it writes more letters on. In this case, there are only 3 spaces. So it doesn't really matter that much, but when you're writing a bunch of stuff in, it kind of makes the animation look a little prettier because it's not actually wasting time writing empty space that nobody sees. And then the animation factor, at least for this animation, is going to be offset. So set a keyframe at 0%, and then we're going to go 10 frames down. So shift page down, or you can hit page down 10 times, command right 10 times, or shift command right. So many possibilities. I'm going to hit shift page down as I use page down, and then you want to click and drag this offset to 100%. You can also click and type in 100%. And if I zoom out and then you see yourself, you have an animation for 10 frames. 10 frames is pretty good time length for something like this, a lower third that explains where you are. So if you preview it, you can trim your preview area by hitting N. So N for end and B for beginning. So if you want to set your trim area, you could say set that for beginning, and it'll only preview this. So that's a good little trick if you just want to preview a small area and don't want to have to wait 5 seconds for it to constantly re-loop. So you just see a nice little animation there. All right. Now, if you noticed, the animation I showed you in the beginning had a little cursor blinking right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a solid. Creating a solid is Command Y. It's also Layer New Solid. You want it to be white, so make sure you select the color, select white, hit OK. And we want it to start here at the 10th frame where our animation ends. So you can either click and drag it to start there, or you can hit open bracket, and it will automatically start there. Open bracket and close bracket are start here or end here, respectively. And then we're going to disable the eye for the white layer, and then we're going to zoom in to your text, and we're going to create a square. So hit Q for square, or you can select rectangle tool. And then with your masking tool selected, I like to draw a square around the letter just so it's pretty much the size of a letter. And this is what I was talking about earlier, why you would use a Bent Gothic, because you want this white square to be the same for every letter, but a lot of fonts, letters don't have the same size. Bent Gothic tends to do that though. So anyway, we're gonna draw a square around the O, and then when you're done, you click one of these corners, click and hold, and then hold Shift to drag it and keep it in line with where you created it. You can also draw a square and then hit V to give you your selector tool, and you can use your cursor, your right and left arrows, to move it left and right if you want. Or you could just freely click it and move it. You can have your cursor up here if you want, like a crazy person. We're going to put it right there, and then you can reactivate your white solid, and then close your white solid mask so it's like closed up, and then reveal opacity. If you haven't seen the other previous tutorials, which I recommend you do, or you don't remember, T will reveal opacity. And this is memorizing these little shortcuts. T for opacity, R for rotation, P for position, and so on. It's really useful because you're going to use them a lot. So anyway, we're going to set a keyframe for opacity at 100%, and I want you to right-click this keyframe and say toggle hold keyframe. And what this does is it keeps the keyframe at that value until there's another keyframe. So it won't animate between keyframes. It will just sharply change the information as soon as it gets to another keyframe. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 keyframes down and click and drag to 0, and you'll see right now we're at 100, and it doesn't animate, and it just pops to 0 when it hits that new keyframe. And this is very useful, and you'll see why. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we bring it right back up to 100. So right now it animates and then blinks once, and that's good. Now, this is where we're going into bonus round. You can obviously loop this animated cursor an easy way. Easy as in you don't have to remember much. It just takes some manual labor. Or you can learn a little trick. I'll show you the easy way first. It's fine for 5 seconds, but if you have a 30-second lower third for some reason and you have to do this for a whole 30 seconds, it can get monotonous. What you do is you would select the last 2 keyframes, copy them, and then go 10 frames over, paste, 10 frames over, paste, 10 frames over, paste, 10 frames over, paste, and just keep doing it. And that's one way to do it. Obviously, that would be a pain in the ass if you had to do that for a long period of time, but it gives you the effect that I gave you in the beginning. Those of you that want to do that, feel free. The solution that I use, that I suggest you do as well, is use an expression. Now, nobody leave. I know it is code and it's scary, but if you just write this one phrase down, it will save you, because you will tend to want to loop things a lot in the future when you start doing After Effects a lot. So to activate an expression on a keyframe, you hold Option and you click on the keyframe itself. So I'm going to hold Option, and I'm going to click this keyframe, and it opens up expression opacity. And over here is the information. And this is what you type, okay? Are you ready? It's super easy. Loop, capital O for out, parentheses, cycle in quotes, comma, 0, end parentheses. That is it. I know it looks like a bunch of gibberish. Nobody's interested in programming here. Y'all just want to make some fun graphics. I get it. Write this down. Just write this little phrase down, and whenever you create a simple animation that you want to loop indefinitely on a layer and you don't want to have to keep pasting keyframes, you can just put this on. So just go ahead right now, write it down. Write down, press Option, hold Option, press the keyframe, and type this in. Put it on a sticky, just tape it to your monitor, and never think about it again until you need to use it. Trust me. And leave in the comments if you hate this and you never want me to mention expressions again, and I will make sure I never mention expressions again, and these tutorials will never have an expression in them. Not even me. I will be expressionless. It'll be fantastic. And when you're done, you hit enter over at the number pad, or you can click out, whichever you prefer. And little magic trick, it just loops indefinitely. What it's doing is it's animating, and then it's looping right back to here for the next frame. And again, if you were watching one of the last tutorials, I showed how to output with Alpha. But if you want to output this and put it over top of footage, hit Command M to send it to your render queue, and under your output module, select Lossless with Alpha, and that will automatically give you an alpha channel, which is an animation codec, and then set your output to wherever you want it to be. Good to go. Good to go. All right, well, stay tuned. I'm going to try to get a lot more tutorials coming up in the future. I got a little swamped over the past month. That's why I haven't been here. But I look forward to bringing you guys some more things. Please feel free to drop any questions on Facebook, on Twitter. Let us know what you think, what you want to learn, and we will try to put it out there. Thank you.